Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. Today we're joined by Bonnie Brindle, an expert in anxiety management. I am excited for her to discuss how dental and orthodontic professionals can better support patients with dental anxiety. Bonnie will share her personal experiences, common anxiety triggers, and practical tools that can improve patient comfort and care. There's a lot to learn here, so let's get started. We all know running and growing an orthodontic practice isn't easy, and technology is supposed to help you, but oftentimes your practice management software doesn't. Some of them are even clunky and need lots of third-party add-ons. That's why I recommend Greyfinch to my startup and existing clients, because Greyfinch is different. Greyfinch is an all-in-one web-based platform that saves you time and boosts your client base, productivity, and bottom line, with no downloads or third-party software needed. It even has tools you can't find anywhere else, like televisits, two-way email and text messaging, a patient self-service hub, and much more. Want to see how it can grow your practice? Visit greyfinch.com/Jill Allen and see why countless leading practices have made the switch. Are you feeling the squeeze from declining starts and cash flow as costs continue to rise? Building on their industry-leading patient acquisition, insurance management, and collections solution, Orthofy is delivering groundbreaking innovations to keep your practice thriving. Orthofy's latest feature, iMax, allows you to maximize every insurance claim submission, adding tens of thousands of dollars to your annual production. Plus, with the game-changing combo of FPT10 and third-party financing, Orthofy is making it even easier for patients to say yes to treatment while ensuring steady cash flow for your practice. Orthofy's commitment to your success in today's evolving orthodontic landscape is why I recommend them to my clients, and right now is the best time to get started. Visit startmoresmiles.com and use promo code HeyDocs to get 50% off your implementation. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Hey Docs. Bonnie, I am so excited to have you on the show today. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. What a privilege knowing that your audience is looking for ways to help their anxious patients. Glad to be here.
Yes, absolutely. I was very excited to do this recording with you because I think this is something we don't talk a lot about in our industry. There isn't a lot of highlight on this. I feel like it is something we need to be talking about. And as providers, being able to meet the needs of everybody in the practice, I'm excited to talk about it. So I'm wondering if you can start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your work in the field, especially with anxiety.
My name is Bonnie Brindle, and I'm known as the Anxiety Avenger. And I've been an anxiety management therapist in Colorado since 2005. I have been an educator in public schools and a staff instructional coach until recently. Just retired from that to go full-time in this direction. I'm super excited about that.
Yes.
I have experienced extreme dental anxiety myself as a young adult, early 20s, where I was suffering from debilitating anxiety, panic disorder, and agoraphobia. And that did morph into dental anxiety. And I do know, having done the research and talked to many people in this field, that about 20% of us deal with some level of dental anxiety. And that could be somebody like me who will take a month to make the call and then find 5 excuses to cancel it. Not fun to deal with.
Yep.
And someone who will come in and sit down and go through the procedure, get up and there'll be sweat all over the chair from their shirt sticking to their back, but they don't say a word. Anywhere between those two extremes, those are people who don't want to be in the space, who are uncomfortable. The vibration between the practitioners, the staff, and the patient is low, and it can be negative. All of this can be changed. All of this can be made better. I committed myself specifically to focusing on dental anxiety. The book that I wrote on it has to do with any sort of general anxiety that people suffer with, and created a path out of that for folks to follow.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I would love it if you would just tell us the name of the book, because I know somebody's let's just get that out there to know that.
Sure. Okay. It is called Cracking the Crazy Maker's Code: 9 Simple Steps to Ease Your Anxiety.
Oh, I love that.
And it's really approachable, small book, 8th grade level text for the layperson, with a memoir of how I rooted out my own anxieties. In there, you can copy this QR code. The code leads to a guided journal that folks, if they really want to go through their own path and start really looking at, well, why do I feel this way? I created the guided journal to be useful on that level.
Ah, that's great. As I was thinking about how to take this episode, I thought, let's just talk about anxiety in general and how that affects us in our dental practices. I'm wondering if you can talk to us, because we have orthodontists and dentists that are listening to the podcast. What should they be aware of? What should they be thinking about? And then, as a patient that has gone through this, I know you already alluded to some tells we may pick up on. We could go, oh, that patient isn't just blowing us off because they don't want to come in. Maybe there's something else going on. So I'd love it if you could just dive into that.
What dentists, orthodontists, and other staff may see when an anxious patient comes in, like me, I'm like the Halloween kitty. Not everyone's going to show that. And lately, in working with professionals who are helping dental industry in all sorts of capacities, I hear words like difficult, grumpy, withdrawn to describe patients that come in that don't want to be there. And I'm out to change that, because an anxious patient isn't trying to be difficult. They're fearful, unsure, they don't know what to say. Most of the time, professionals haven't been trained in clinical in school, or how to communicate, how to deal with people who are struggling. Anxious patients are struggling and fearful, not difficult and grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
All of those things can hide. Those are typical ways that people with anxiety hide how they're feeling, so people don't find out they're really in a lot of fear. If we don't have training for the staff on how to help that person, we might have a patient come in, go through a procedure, and never come back again. If there's some trigger that you have inadvertently set off for them, it's all about patient retention, right? Your revenue comes from your patient retention, not having to get new patients all the time. It's difficult for practitioners to handle working with anxious patients. They take a lot of time, and they may not know what to say or what to do. Once an anxious patient feels comfortable in your practice, they're going to stick around.
Yes.
They're going to get better because you were able to help them, and you're going to retain more patients that way. There are a lot of people that struggle with dental anxiety. All I have to do is say dentist, and sorry guys, but I hate going to the dentist. My appointment always really hurts.
No, you're so right on that. And I think it's like the same thing of saying police officer, and everybody's got a story about their last ticket, right? Unfortunately, I hate to make that connection, but my husband was a police officer, so I can say that there is naturally a little bit, of an aversion there when we're talking about dental anxiety. And I have been in our orthodontic field for over 30 years now. And when I was in the clinical side of it, you can see from when I used to treatment coordinate and we'd have patients come in. I loved some of the descriptive words that you use for what you may see in an anxious patient. They are the ones that are being short with their answers or just seem like they don't really want to be there, but yet they're the ones who made the appointment to come in. What I learned over time was that it was almost them fighting themselves. As I got to know some of our patients, trust became more prevalent and they felt more comfortable. It was like an onion. They just opened up and there was a little bit more and they'd share more. And all of a sudden, by the time they were done with their treatment, especially on the ortho side, you'd be like, I just love them. That wasn't the way it started out. And that wasn't the way they thought about us either, but it worked that way. And I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about you as a patient and what that was like from a patient perspective coming in.
Sure. You're talking about people who have an ability to communicate well with a patient.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody has that.
Yeah.
But it can be trained to a degree. We can do better in how we approach all the patients. Even if it doesn't feel natural for some people, it can get better. My own experience, some folks who are anxious in the dental or orthodontic space have specific reason to be, maybe because of a bad experience they had previously in an office.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they had a painful experience. For me, that was not how it started. And that's where some of the surprise can come
Yeah.
for practitioners and staff. Folks who may have a dental anxiety from an issue that happened can focus maybe just on that. Someone like me who has a generalized anxiety disorder, it spreads from one thing to another. There wasn't an exact dental issue. As a matter of fact, when I was a kid, I loved my pediatric dentist, Dr. Diodati. He was so fabulous. And we always had little toys and stuff. That's where my first Ranger Rick magazine experience came from. But as anxiety developed for other reasons and the panic disorder applied layers of that and the agoraphobia started, then it was just difficult to be there in a claustrophobic feel.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're in the chair, you can't get out. So right there, people who have claustrophobia struggle with that. And then I did have a dentist while I was an adult who was gruff, not real personable. When I was younger, you used to sit yourself up from the chair and use the bowl, the little spinny bowl. They took that all away and the chair became quite flat. I hated that. And I spoke to that dentist about it, and his response was not warm or fuzzy or helpful. So that was a little bit of a trigger. And then later, another dentist in another state accidentally hit a facial nerve while injecting me. And it can come from all kinds of little pieces and also other people's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my Aunt Sally, this is what happened to her.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a dental patient that was at an appointment, and somewhere else in the building there was an emergency, and there was the fire engines and the sirens on all the thing. And they started to transfer that there was going to be some kind of terrible thing was going to happen the next time he was in the dental office. For people who have not experienced that kind of any of those types of anxieties, it's really hard to understand it and to believe that it's real. It's real enough to be absolutely life-changing for people.
Yeah, I think that's the hard thing about anxiety in general. It isn't something that you can necessarily see on the outside. It's very much real. We all know that. It's not like you can say, oh, this is a patient in a wheelchair, and so therefore we have to adapt our space to help when it's within a disorder that a patient is dealing with. It doesn't necessarily manifest itself in ways that maybe we recognize, especially as team members or doctors. It can be hard for team members to be like, oh, I got to be paying attention to this. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about triggers, or are there things that practices can do when recognizing that maybe there's something going on here that I'm not aware of, or just things they can do to help minimize triggers for patients in a practice?
Oh, absolutely. There are lots of triggers for people. Some people might be triggered by smells. Some smell in the office might trigger a previous memory of something similar that's negative. The sounds we hear from tools and other people, other patients can be heard in the office. Maybe someone has a needle phobia. Maybe someone has been sexually or physically abused in some way and can't be in this position with someone else in control.
Yeah.
That person is the one least likely to get dental care.
Yeah.
Even the taste, even before an injection, the horrible taste of the numbing liquid, even that can set somebody off. Having to be in the chair, actually, as a matter of fact, I have to say this morning, I had an appointment. I went to my dental cleanings, and my dentist and I are working on this together, and she's great with anxious patients, and we have a thing we're working on. But I sat down, and there's the screen in front of me, and I said, oh, is that my entertainment for today, or are you going to show me radiographs? And right away, she knows. She laughs, but she goes, yeah, I'm not showing anybody anything without asking first. So the things that, probably two main things that your folks can think about, to ask a person, instead of saying, are you anxious? Are there aspects of this experience that trigger negativity for you?
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Does anything trigger negativity? This smell, that sound, this light in your face, the way the chair feels, the person your front desk person. Are they warm and welcoming? Are they, have a seat?
Yeah.
That makes a huge difference. So you can find out, maybe ask, are there triggers, instead of asking, are you anxious? And not make it about them, but about the environment.
Yeah.
And the other part is asking people whether they want to know everything that's happening. Do you want to see everything that's around? Does it bother you to see instruments? I don't want to see that. Your teeth are perfectly healthy. Why would you worry about looking at an x-ray? That's like a zombie movie to some people, right? I don't want to see that. That's gross, right? Is there anything you want me to tell you or not tell you? During the procedure, do you want me to tell you, here, I'm using this, and this is what's going to happen now? Do you just want to sit quietly and have me just work the thing and get done? There are people all across the spectrum and the answers to those questions. Asking them validates the experience that person has without you even having to know exactly what it is, without them having to say, and this make me anxious and I'm terrified of this and that, which a lot of people are not going to be able to express easily.
Yeah, those are great places to start. Maybe a little bit more from the ortho side of our dental realm. I can think we've got these big screens and panos up, and we've got, let's look at this big view of your receding gums on your lower incisors and this, that, or the other. And I can see how maybe just asking a few questions, or being aware as a team member, if we're seeing some deflection, or if we haven't remembered to ask, and all of a sudden we're seeing the patient kind of look away or not wanting to engage, to go, oh, maybe it has to do with this x-ray that I'm showing. And I'm saying, do you have anxiety? Does this make you uncomfortable showing you the x-ray? Now they're under the spotlight, right? Versus, is there anything, I can do to make this more comfortable for you? Do you want me to proceed showing you the rest of the x-rays, or would you like for me to just talk to you about your treatment plan, what I have been able to diagnose if I'm the doctor, and, how we want to move forward? I think that's such a great little pearl, and easy to implement, but yet not make the patient feel uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's not about them. It's what in this environment may or may not trigger you.
Let's talk a little bit about how practices relay to their patients, from their website to the first phone call to their first appointment, that we are a practice that is to be sensitive to dental anxiety and really helps set a patient up. Because I'm going to agree with you. You've been to them. I've been to them. I too have a little dental anxiety, and I think a lot about, this is so silly. I'm in the industry. Why do I have this? But I know where it comes from. I know why I have the issues that I have, but I don't think a lot of people really think about that. Can you talk to us about some of those tips that you think we could do?
Are you referring to the marketing piece of that, or?
I think let's start there from a marketing. When a patient is saying, maybe as a patient, I've got dental anxiety, and I have to go out and make an appointment with a doctor, and I'm going to choose, maybe from Google, I can see all these doctors, but I'm going to go look at their website. I might call their office, and I might do a couple touches before I actually schedule that appointment. How would the doctor or a practice, how would they set themselves up to maybe appeal to patients who may have that dental anxiety, showing them that they're mindful of it and wanting to help with their care?
Yes, so showing them that they're mindful of it. Exactly. And that practice is a safe place to be. I'm just thinking of like home pages and seeking dental safety. Have you ever been afraid at the dentist? We got you. Come in and have a chat with us before. I know this costs time and money, but that time and money spent up front is going to be rewarded later with people who continue to show up and follow your recommendations of care. So come in and meet the staff. It's a day that we have the staff here to meet and just talk to people, and then they go home. They don't come in for procedure. They come in, they say hi, they leave.
Yeah.
So there's a connection built right there that isn't necessarily about a procedure. And that person who answers the phone is critical.
Yeah.
Absolutely critical. It's got to be somebody gregarious. Come on in and let us brighten your smile for you. We can help you with your self-confidence if this is not your favorite place to be. Now, are you anxious? You want to show that we can help you brighten that smile, get that job, and get that promotion, or get that date you're looking for. Add a little humor to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, to make it inviting for people, just to make that first communication is so important. And if they offer anything about, and people will, I haven't been to the dentist in 5 years. Why would I come to you? Your website looks nice, but that is a moment, again, where your front person can say, we have the dental vibe to help with the needles. We have a weighted blanket we can put on your lap, where you can sit in whatever position is comfortable for you. I do know some dentists that can do that. I know that's not everybody's thing.
Yeah.
Come in and just talk to us. You don't have to make an appointment. Just come in, say hello, get the vibe of the office, and then tell us what it is you need. Let us know if there are triggers that cause you fear. Let us know what they are, because we will help you work through those. As far as a marketing standpoint, it's a headline of, hey, are you concerned about this? We got you. Come on in and talk to us about it. Write to us about it. Here's a checklist of things. When was the last time you had a good experience at a dentist or orthodontist office? Why was it good? Start with that positive. How did you get to where you're feeling right now? You've probably seen the dental anxiety scale, the 4 questions about the drill. I've been working on a questionnaire that is more specific, that attaches the sights, the smells, the sounds, the feels, the equipment, all the things for people, so that when they meet with staff, you have a much better idea. Some people will be more willing to write it down, and more specifically, at least, than explain it to you. Yeah. So I'm working on rewriting the dental anxiety scale to something actually useful.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I can't wait to see it when you have that finished. As you're talking about this, it makes me think about our front desk team and how they really are our first line of welcome or barrier to our practice. And you're hitting on this already, but I'm wondering if you can give, if I've got any front desk team members listening or doctors that want to convey this, if there is something, like you said, I haven't been in 5 years. To me, that might be is there something beyond the fact that they just have been too busy for 5 years, or is there something else going on? Is there any little clues or tools that you could give us that might, without us saying, are you anxious? Are you an anxious patient? And that's why you haven't been in, but that you have found are maybe commonalities between patients with anxiety and maybe some things that somebody may hear on an initial phone call or different things like that we could be aware of? Hey docs, on this podcast, I talk about a lot of different ways you can set your practice apart. But here's one that might surprise you. Maybe you haven't thought about it before, but the equipment you use can make a big difference, not just for the patient experience, but for you and your team too. That's why I want to let you know about a new line of orthodontic equipment from ADEC. I visited their headquarters in Oregon earlier this year to take a sneak peek for myself, and I have to say, I was impressed. ADEC has manufactured award-winning dental equipment for 60 plus years, and they're bringing that same level of excellence to ortho. From comfortable, compact patient chairs to a versatile workstation and delivery to ergonomic dental stools, ADEC orthodontic equipment is designed for a smooth and easy workflow. Day after day, patient after patient, see the difference it can make for your practice. Click the link in our show notes to learn more about ADEC Orthodontic Solutions. Hey docs, let's talk about Smile Suite, because it's not just another scheduling system. It's a game changer in the world of new patient management. And as a proud Smile Suite partner, I've witnessed the incredible impact it has on practices of all sizes. Smile Suite means your new patient calls and web leads are expertly handled 7 days a week, even during nights and weekends. And they offer top-notch customizable presentation software and seamless post-consultation follow-up. It's like having a secret weapon for your practice's success. Curious? Dive into the revolution at getsmilesuite.com. And don't forget to mention Hey Docs to unlock some extra goodies. Elevate your practice with Smile Suite, because every smile deserves a suite of excellence.
Yeah, so on that initial phone call, When somebody calls and says, I haven't been keeping up with my care, or I'm struggling out of pain now, validating the call.
Mm.
I can imagine it was really hard for you to make this call.
Oh, I
I
love
can
that.
imagine how hard it might be for you to make this appointment. We want to make this work for you. We want to make you feel safe. Glad you picked up the phone.
Mm.
How can we help you feel better about connecting with us?
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, you want to validate that the person actually stepped forward right away. This person gets that this is not a joke
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
me. I imagine this was really difficult for you to make this call. Glad you did. Let's work together and get you into the care that you need. That same feel needs to come from the other staff and the practitioners themselves. Way to go. You got here. We're going to make this better. We're going to give you back that smile, not ever wanting to shame anybody into it. And that's a huge fear of people with anxiety.
Sure.
They can feel ashamed that they have anxiety in the first
Mm-hmm.
place. And then there's a lot of shame around maybe letting their teeth get to a condition that's difficult to work on. When you can offer strategies to help them relax, my game is not conscious sedation, but
Mm-hmm.
some people, practices use that and make an offering of it. That might be the way that person is able to come in the first time. But all of that can evolve, right? We always
Mm-hmm.
have to keep the eye on the ball of evolution, that the anxiety can be reduced and the need for assistance can be reduced as that person begins to trust and has a positive experience.
Yeah.
But my scope is to try to help people not have to stay in that place, because that's taking a day off from work. That's
Mm-hmm.
getting someone to drive you.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to take the time to go to the appointment
Yeah.
and get in there. When I have to add an extra layer for that, it's even harder. Some of what I work with training people, staff around, is some of the really basic EFT tapping techniques,
Mm-hmm.
Jin Shin Jitsu, finger energy holds that people can do to keep themselves calm while the work is going on. I'm sure you folks know about noise canceling headphones and playing music. Some people have video on the screen of something fun to watch. Don't underestimate the power of a weighted blanket.
Mm.
Of course, for some people, that would be claustrophobic. Others, it feels great. But the little lap size glass bead, not the lead apron, people who don't understand anxiety, of course, they're like, that's the same thing.
Yes.
No, it
Yeah.
isn't. And asking patients if they want any of these things. I've been in offices that offer CBD products
Mm-hmm.
for their patients to purchase. You can use CBD to lower anxiety, increase calmness, and still walk away, function, and drive, along with some of the other strategies. You've mentioned that folks on your podcast are looking for innovative
Mm-hmm.
ways to work. One of the alternative ways that I've worked in my therapeutic practice for years is wildlife imagery.
Oh.
We're so disconnected, generally speaking, from nature, from our origins, yet always thinking about and naming things and naming sports teams after them and describing things like sly as a fox and fast as a cheetah. The nature is always with us, but we don't really connect into it. And one of the ways that I, in my own personal experience, have dealt with being in an MRI tube. Oh, that's fun if you haven't done that and you're anxious.
Right.
Mama, let me tell you.
I can only imagine.
That's just a blast. Ways that I have gotten through that without drugs is wildlife imagery. As a therapist and coach, I help people discover which animals and which environments can feel protective to them
Ah.
and bring those images into the practice space.
Mm-hmm.
Like my first experience of using this in an MRI situation was wolf and horse, two animals that are very powerful for me in my world, and just had them in there with me and imagined them and talked to them. And people do that in the dental chair too. And it can
Mm-hmm.
help disconnect from all the happenings around and provide some practice of protection without having to tell anybody about it.
Yes.
We've all heard the concept of imaginary friends when we were kids. It's like imaginary, powerful friends. As adults, we don't necessarily have to
Mm-hmm.
share. And
Mm-hmm.
that's been a powerful therapeutic modality in my work.
I love that. It's a little bit of escapism, but you're putting the power on whatever that is. And it's helping, just like you said, helping you put that anxiety somewhere else in something powerful that's going to help you get through it. That's a great visual. And honestly, just a great tool for any of us who may have little anxiety to be able to think about, okay, we can put that energy in or on something else to help us through that. That's wonderful. I love that.
Asking nature for that help and starting to talk about it. We're talking about anxiety in general, but being able to become a less anxious dental patient.
Mm.
A lot of people who have anxieties won't talk to others about them. I recommend that people go out among trees, get among nature, get even to a park, anywhere there are trees. And the grounded nature of trees, every day you show up and they're still there.
Yeah.
The grounded, rooted nature is a wonderful place for anxious people to start talking about what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't feel safe talking to other people, talking to the trees, talking to animals, pets, wildlife, to start practicing expressing that. If there's one thing I want people to understand about anxiety, whether it's dental or anything else, anxiety is just trapped energy that is unexpressed in a proper form.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. It's as simple as that. It's made me cancel dentist appointments. It made me drop out of college after my first semester. It's made me not go to a wedding of friends. It's made me not travel for years. That's all it is. Trapped energy that needs proper expression.
Mm.
When the expression can be appropriate, it can be released and those things can be resolved.
Oh, I love that. That's another episode I want to have you on just to talk about that, because there's a lot to unpack there for sure. This has been great just talking about all of this. I love some of these natural anxiety management tools. Is there anything with practices that you have not hit on that you think we can help patients have a better experience? In the ortho world, we don't do as much with sedation, but definitely in dental, I have doctors on both sides. They may have a pedo ortho practice or an ortho practice, facial aesthetics, different things like that, where we do have to use some sedation or different procedures. Can you talk a little bit about maybe how practices can help patients through that? Needles are a huge trigger, like using the word drill.
I realize there's not so much sedation in the ortho space, but there's fear in both.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Let's just start with your fingers are going to be in my mouth. All those things can be terrifying for people, regardless of which space they're in. But when you mention needles, one of the tools that has actually helped me personally is the dental vibe. It's a little shape like this. My dentists and their staff call it the rabbit. Two little prongs on the end, and it goes inside right against where the ejection is going to be, and it vibrates. And vibration reaches the brain more quickly than the sensation of the needle. So it's a wonderful distraction. It's one tool that I really love and always ask for. Whether it's ortho or dental, that anxiety of being in the space where someone has got their hands on my face and I'm uncomfortable, it can be. So don't underestimate that, even if sedation isn't involved.
Yeah, I love that.
When we validate how people are feeling, even if they're not able to say, I feel this way, I can imagine it's hard for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing from your expression that maybe what I'm doing was uncomfortable. Sometimes I'll be in the chair like this. Here's what the patient can see. This is it.
Yes. Yeah.
And you've got all this hands and instruments and all this going on, and they're coming and they're going and not saying anything. For some people, it'd be so much better if you said, this is and it does this thing. Mm-hmm. And then Jill's over here and she's going to do this now.
Yes.
And then other people, like I said earlier, don't want that explained, just want to know they're safe and just go ahead and do it. So finding those things out about your patients.
Yeah.
Without criticizing them, without pointing a finger about how weird anxiety is, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't. That's really where it's at to get a start, to get a foothold with making it better for people.
Yeah, I love that. And I can say, even speaking from my own experience, and not that I have as extreme dental anxiety as other people, but I'm a very tactile person, and textures. And in dental offices, I really have to psych myself up. What's crazy is I have been a dental assistant, but gloves, my mouth are, it's like fingers on a chalkboard for me. I think it goes back to when I was a kid and they used to do the fluoride in the styrofoam trays. That's something rooted in my head still as a 52-year-old woman. It's still right there. Every time I go to a dental office, we haven't done fluoride treatments like that in forever, but those triggers are there. As a patient, it was hard for me, especially being in our industry. Sometimes I feel like you don't want to put the dental assistant or the dentist out by saying something. So you suck it up sometimes. And then it makes you be like, maybe I don't need to go back for that cleaning every 6 months. If I just would have said something like, I really hate that cold water on my teeth. Can you just use the warm water instead of the cold water? Or don't use the Cavitron. But I think when we're thinking about it from the dental side and the assistant side and the hygienist side or the ortho side, if we can just remember that it's not just about the facts. Let's get you through the procedure and really pick up on those subtleties that somebody may not say, but could make the difference on whether they come back or not. Like you said, whether they choose to have a long-term relationship with you or choose to, okay, now I'll done that. We'll put that on hold for another 5 years and I'll try it again in 5.
People do. Sometimes they'll come in and go with the sedation and do everything you got to do, rip these out, whatever, fill these, and I'll be back years from now. Yeah. And what you just described, it's like nirvana for me. You described the crazy maker, the experience of the tray, blocked energy in you right now. It's a block. You haven't released it. And it can be released. The procedures that I do with people, it is possible to do this. But so that trigger comes for you every time something rubber gets near your face. Yep. That is exactly what I'm talking about. And when people don't know, oh yeah, it was those trays when I was 8, when I had this experience, and now I'm 52 and don't touch me with a rubber thing near my face. Yeah. All of that stuff. The littlest things that can happen, a weird sound that someone can hear. Yep. What happens during a dental procedure, or the smell, like when the drill is on and that burning flesh, some people can't stand that. Yep. If we can at least get that and have that validated, and yeah, that really is a weird smell. We're not great. We don't like it much either. We'll put a fan on, move it this way, or anything we can do to let that person know that, yeah, we all have that. We all have those triggers, right? So that you're coming at that, as you can say, and you do what other people do too. I was a dental assistant, so what's the big deal? Exactly. I've gone to a dentist all my life and I've had a bad experience. I have no why I'm afraid. It's related to something else that isn't dental. Let's figure out what that is. And that's where my therapeutic and my coaching stuff and my online Anxiety Avenger Alliance meets twice a month. That is for dental patients who want to get together and talk exactly about the way you just did. There's this thing. Why can't I let go of this thing? Together in this group, we can let go of that thing. And that person who wasn't able to say it is also going to get relief because you said it. Yeah. So that is absolutely key of my work, is getting the online community expanded with patients and help them get through some of that stuff so then they can go to your office and it's better for everybody.
I love that. And I love that you're standing in this space helping out right where you're at, because I think there's a lot to learn for all of us in the dental world. And then knowing that you're out there advocating for those that do have that anxiety and are working through trying to do the right thing. I love the word that you said. I think shame is such an awful thing, and it's easy to be in where people can take that on. I haven't been there. I'm shameful about that. They're shaming me when that may not be at all what's happening, but it could be. You never know, because I've seen some pretty harsh assistants who want to just, yeah, exactly. Somehow me holding my power over you in why this is so important is going to change that for me.
Exactly. You're so right. Shame is such a huge part of it. People are afraid to admit there's something wrong with me. I'm weird. Nobody else feels this way. I can't handle this. There's all that gremlin talk in our own heads. One of my Bonnie-isms is name it, don't shame it.
Oh, I love
Getting people to name it instead of shaming it, because we all have it.
Yeah, that's great. Bonnie, this has been great. And I'm wondering, as we finish this up here, I would love it if you could talk about if there was one key thing that you really want our dental professionals to take away from this episode. What would that be?
Two quick things. One, as an orthodontist or a dentist, your own physical, mental fitness and health. When you show up feeling good because you've taken care of yourself and your body can do all the contortions that it takes to do your job, your stress level is low, your nutrition is appropriate, and your hydration is appropriate, you're going to treat staff better, and that's going to change the atmosphere. Take care of your own fitness. Take care of your own stress. Deal with your own anxieties.
Yeah.
Even if they're not related to this space, everyone's got them there somewhere. And that would make much more open individual, a much more open group of people to work with those who are coming in to the practice. And again, to recognize what might look like the difficult, the grumpy, the withdrawn, the person who cancels on you after twice. Oh my God. None of that is happening because that patient wants to make things difficult for you. They don't want to make it take time for you. They don't want to make it cost money for you. But when we look at anxious dental patients as difficult, grumpy, or withdrawn, we're dead in the water in being able to help them stay with the practice, follow the procedure, be available for the work, to retain them as patients or increase your revenue. So just a shift in attitude in recognizing that these people are fearful and they are struggling to get dental care is basic health care. Dental care protects your heart, protects you from heart disease and a whole list of other things that can happen when we don't, right? They are trying to get their care and they're struggling with their barriers. So they are fearful and struggling. They are not difficult, grumpy, or withdrawn.
Yeah.
And just recognizing that is huge.
Yeah. As we wrap up, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, and I'm sure somebody listening is, I've got to talk to her about this, or I want to find out some tips and tools on how to maybe train my team a little bit better to be more compassionate in this area. What's the best way that somebody can get a hold of you, learn more about your work, your lectures, tell us where we can get it?
Thank you for that. Not only am I trying to help dental patients, but in turn, the orthodontists and the dentists who have to, and all the staff who have to go to work every day and do this, I want to help them have a better experience. Training staff on some of the basic EFT tappings, the Jinshin Jitsu, the wildlife imagery, and behaviors that we can help our patients with. So it's critical that both sides of this equation work together. But to find me, it's just my name, bonniebrindle.com is my website. My email is bonnie@bonniebrindle.com. Really simple. I welcome questions. I welcome the opportunity to help staff. I can do that online. I can do it in person if it's local. The book is more generalized around anxiety and isn't just for someone with the debilitating level that I have, but anyone who's dealing with any of this, any of the crazy makers. And the crazy makers may have come from our family situations, the generations before us, that stuff trickles down. It may come from the workplaces and the people that we are around every day. It may come from events or traumas that we've experienced, but we all have that. And then within that, you can pull the printable guided journal and take away some of that stuff without having to tell anybody else about it if you don't choose to. And the website is also linked to the book, which is on Amazon, Goodreads, and Barnes & Noble. The ebook Kindle version is available on Amazon.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And we'll put all this in the show notes for everybody as well. This has been an absolute treat having you on. This is not something we talk a lot about. These uncomfortable situations in our offices are not things we want to spend a lot of time on, but I really appreciate that you're advocating for patients that do have dental anxiety. I believe in our dental and our orthodontic offices, we need to be more aware of, because just in general, I think mental health is a hard thing, and anxiety, it's just not something we can see, but it doesn't mean that it's not there.
It's an invisible condition, but it doesn't make it less real.
Yep, exactly. As we finish up, I always like my guests to do a little speed round with me. And I'm wondering if you are up for the speed round challenge as we come to the end here.
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. What is your go-to productivity tool?
Fitness.
Yeah.
Every morning I'm up, I'm out the door, I'm walking, I have horse chores to do, I have workouts. Every morning it's get up, move my body, and hydrate, because that is the way to get things clear. And it puts me in a great setup to move
Yeah.
forward for the day.
I love that. Put yourself first. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I'm definitely an early bird. I do struggle with avoiding staying up too late sometimes, which doesn't work great on the early bird end. But I am in best balance when I am lights out at 10:30, eyes open at 6, take a few minutes for a gratitude practice, then get up and move before I do any other kind of work.
What was the first job you ever had?
Mucking stalls and handling horses for the local stable. I started that gainful employment when I was 11 years old.
I believe hard work at a young age teaches you a lot,
Oh,
especially having to care for something else.
exactly. And what a gift it was to me, because
Mhm.
all the stuff that I've dealt with, the anxiety disorder, my resilience has always been there and made me go forward, as difficult as it was. Shoveling poop and taking care of animals, 1,000 pounds. I learned a lot, and I have my own horse now. I've worked with horses my whole life.
Oh, that's wonderful. What would you say has had the most tremendous impact on your professional life?
I would have to say both the biological and the social factors of resilience. I was born with curiosity and drive. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
What's up? What's that? Because I was so fortunate to have some wonderful educators, a couple of parents of friends, and educators, humans, horses, dogs, and wildlife, that have taught me the lessons of recognizing others
Mm,
and having my own strong boundaries and limitations.
yeah.
And that has helped me build the resilience that, like, when I was at my lowest point, when I left after my first semester of college, something that took me great pains to get to, and I had to leave because my anxiety was so bad. I thought about whether I was going to continue or not. And
Mm.
that resilient piece came up and said, what step can you take now? Resilience. You got to get after taking care of you to take care of the rest of the world around you.
And as we finish up, what's one business skill you think everyone should have?
The ability to see and hear the 12-year-old and everybody around you.
Mm.
Go back for a sec. You're 12. You're in
Mhm.
middle school, probably. Peers are really important. Things are really confusing. You're all over the place every day. There's some huge disappointments and struggles that we go through in trying to become what we are next. I guess we call ourselves adults. I'm not sure I can claim that. But as we're moving to the adult world and peers become, we start dealing with rejection and disappointment and some of those things. And those, just that rubber feel of the tray in your mouth,
Mhm.
they get blocked, they get stuck. And we carry those into our relationships, to the people we love, to our marriages, to our workplaces, when we're dealing with other people with their 12-year-old going on. And everyone's still got this. When
Yeah.
we can see and hear other people instead of, oh, Jill, ugh, she's so annoying. I hate when she does that. So,
Yeah.
Jill, how are you feeling about that thing? It seems like you're really bothered. Would you tell me what's happening? And here, when you ask a question, listen for the answer, that 12-year-old, because we're all still that person. If we can recognize that and not take things so personally,
Mhm.
when others acting or speaking in ways that trigger us a little bit, to recognize it's not about you. Even if it's at you, it's not about you.
Mhm.
It's about that. So if we can see that 12-year-old in other people, we can have more grace for each other. And that makes a better workplace.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Bonnie, it's been a pleasure having you on. And thanks for talking to us about this kind of uncomfortable topic, but I think we need to bring more light to. So, thanks again for being on Haydocs. I'd love to have you on again. So, hope to have you on soon.
Great. Love it. And thank you so much for inviting me. I so enjoyed it. And I hope that I was helpful to your dentist and orthodontist. And fire questions, send over.
Excellent. Thank you. See you later.
Take care.